What's the risk? I'm Joseph. This is Input English. Today's episode grows out of some of the discussions we've had in recent days. I started out with the question, what is the risk? Well, risk is something we humans have to deal with all the time. Risk has a lot of impact on our decision making, and people talk about risk all the time. Since we are language learners, it would be useful to review some of these concepts here, not for me to tell you how to deal with risk, but rather to introduce vocabulary and expressions that work in this arena. We have to deal with risk. We have to talk about risk. So let's talk about it here for comprehensible input so that you'll be better equipped to converse with people on these topics. After all, this channel is devoted to comprehensible input for adult language learners, and all the content is at the intermediate or perhaps even advanced level. So let's get started. First of all, what is risk? Risk is the possibility of adversity, injury, loss, or an unfortunate outcome. Risk is that something that we consider bad could happen. You could say that each of these unfortunate things that could befall us have a probability. The trouble is, probability suggests that you can estimate it and assign a numerical value. And with risk in the day-to-day, frequently we don't have that ability to assign a numerical probability. This is part of the problem. With all that said, we humans have to estimate risk all the time. It's part of our life. In recent years, we have heard an expression that's become much more popular, and that is existential threat. I don't think I ever heard that before the 21st century, and it appeared to me to gain popularity during the pandemic. An existential threat is something that poses a danger to our very life or to the existence of something. During much of the 20th century, a lot of us in the United States had some anxiety about nuclear conflict, and we considered that an existential threat. But back in the 20th century, we didn't really use that term. In the 21st century, you could identify such things as a pandemic, perhaps artificial intelligence, and environmental change. These topics could easily represent an existential threat to us. When people are called upon to make decisions that include risk, but for which that risk is difficult to quantitate, they sometimes want to consider the worst case scenario. Of course, the trouble with that is the worst case scenario may be extremely unlikely. And that begs the question, should we dwell on things that are not likely to occur? Wouldn't it make more sense to prepare for things that are much more likely? Focusing on the worst case scenario can lead to catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is just that, focusing on terrible outcomes and worrying about the consequences, even though they're very unlikely to occur. The trouble with approaching things in that way is it can lead to defeatism. Defeatism is when someone gives up without a fight. They assume that it's futile. A related concept is fatalism. Fatalism is a submissive approach, assuming that everything is predetermined and inevitable. Sometimes you will hear a lighthearted response, what's the worst thing that could happen? Now, this delivery is usually ironic, and it's frequently done for comedy. You may see that on television, for instance, or in a video. So rather than focusing on the worst case scenario, unlikely catastrophe, fatalism, what should we do? We have some options. We could identify the most likely risks. Once these most likely risks are identified, the question is, what can we do to mitigate those risks? What steps can we take to prevent damage? Conversely, what risks are beyond our control, and we just need to be ready to accept them if they occur? I would advocate an adaptive response to risk, because the alternative is to be paralyzed by it. If we overreact to risk, it can prevent us from doing what we should do. We have to recognize that humans need to take risk. Great successes in history have almost always been associated with significant risk. So when we refer to someone as a risk taker, we could be criticizing them for recklessness, or we could be admiring them for their adaptive ability to work with risk and glean success from it. It is very clear that the human ability to estimate risk is imperfect, and it is very susceptible to biases. Should we worry a lot about potential meteor impact or what artificial intelligence is likely to do to us in the future? Or would it make more sense to focus on our own behavior that we can control and look at things like our eating behavior, our exercise plan, any smoking behavior? What sort of risky things are we doing voluntarily that we could mitigate? The alternative is a fatalistic approach. What the hey? What the hey is an expression you will hear because the person saying what the hey is trying to avoid using the word hell. What the hey is fairly commonly said. What it means is, who cares? Or what's the use? All of these phrases suggest a fatalistic approach. And the last fear I suppose we should talk about is FOMO. FOMO is a newer expression, certainly from the 21st century, fear of missing out. When the term was coined, it referred to social activities, like missing a party, missing an event. When I think about FOMO, I think about missed opportunities. As a language learner, I know every day one of my options is to quit, just give up. But an adaptive FOMO approach tells me to continue because I don't want to miss out on the joys of having a higher level of proficiency in my target language. I want to be able to understand Spanish and speak it with confidence. I don't want to miss out on that. So how did we get here today? Well, it came out of the discussion when I walked us through the San Andreas fault zone. I don't harbor significant fear of living near a major seismic fault because major catastrophes associated with that fault are not very common. They're not very likely. We have not had a catastrophic earthquake along the San Andreas Fault in this century. The last one was 1989, and the one before that was 83 years earlier in 1906. That said, people do look at earthquakes with some fear. The other thing that came up is I've been busy in the shop. I've been doing things, and one of the things visible on the video are these marks on my left hand. Now, I'm not going to show you a close-up. They're just injuries. 2 scrapes and some bruises. And what's that all about? There's nothing on the right hand. It's all on this left hand. Was I in an accident? No, I just accepted some risk. In previous videos, I've explained that I chose to get a Jeep so that I can go off-road and explore some remote areas in the desert Southwest primarily. In recent weeks, I put a trailer hitch on that Jeep. More recently, in the past several days, I have been installing an electric winch in the front of the Jeep. This required me to overcome my own fear of the unknown, fear of maybe breaking something or doing something badly. I could have paid someone to install this winch in the front of the truck, but two things led me to this path. One of them is the desire to save money, and the other is the desire to learn something and have a little adventure. So, armed with the instructions that I had studied, I started disassembling the front of the Jeep with tools. I then installed the new winch and went through a lot of steps to get it properly installed. Yesterday, I put the bumper back on in front of this new winch. In order to do this, I had to get my hand into a tight space to manipulate some fasteners and get them hooked on, and then use a wrench to tighten them. In so doing, I sustained some impact and some scrapes on the back of my hand. You might say, well, you should have been wearing gloves. Unfortunately, this was a very tight place, and the gloves that I had were too thick to allow me to do what needed to be done. So I had to accept the risk and carefully thread my hand into this tight space. The consequences are visible. Now this will heal. I could catastrophize. I could look at these and think, oh, what's the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario is a roaring infection and an amputation. But as you would expect, I never gave that much thought. When these injuries occurred, I just washed them off and assumed that they would heal uneventfully. It appears that's exactly what they're doing. If I had gone down the path of the worst case scenario, I could have found myself in the emergency room begging for deliverance from the people in the healthcare system. But instead, I deemed that worst case scenario exquisitely unlikely, so I never gave it another thought. I just washed it off. Risk in human existence is nothing new. People have been dealing with risk and fear of risk for millennia. So how have people adapted to risk in the past? Well, various ways. Religious leaders have certainly addressed these topics. I am most taken by the approach offered by Stoic philosophers. I am not proselytizing about Stoicism. I simply think it has something to offer us on this topic. Seneca tells us that he who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than it is necessary. He's telling us, don't worry about things that might happen or that are likely to happen, because the worry is actually part of the problem for us. Seneca goes on to say that we suffer more in our imagination than we do in reality. And Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, tells us, today I escaped from anxiety. No, I discarded it because it was within me. He's telling us that anxiety about risk is from within. I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.